Today we will begin the second act of Sartre's play, The Flies. This act has two scenes. In scene 1 we will see how Orestes will gradually take an interest in the lives of the people of Argos and will be engaged to the cause of their delivery. And in the second scene we will see how the actual murder will be committed, the murder of Clytemnestra and Eurystheus. So the purpose of this scene is to elaborately represent the process of engagement. And as you know that in existential theory, engagement is always voluntary, without any self-interest, and Sartre makes it suit his purpose by making Orestes almost an alien or outsider to the city of Argos. At the same time we see his interactions with his sister Electra and how Electra at the outset refuses to take any help from Orestes in her cause, though she initially does not know his true identity. She knows him as Philebus from Corinth. But in this scene, Orestes discloses his true identity to Electra. And then we will see the changes. The revelation of Orestes' identity completely changes Electra's attitude towards him. Okay, so let us see. So the beginning, the setting is the mountain cave, and the people of Argos, they are assembled in a crowd for the observation of the ceremony, and they are talking about a woman is teaching a child that she should cry when she is told, and that she should be frightened, and so on. So in this behavior of the crowd, we see the way religion is made an oppressive ideology, and people are made to follow things which may not be very happy things, but they are forced to follow it. And the crowd is impatient for the ceremony to start, and they want Eurystheus to begin the things immediately, because they say that they can't wait any longer. They feel too oppressed until the things begin. They worry about how the dead would behave when they come out of the cave, and they even say that every year the dead are behaving worse and worse. So all these speeches, they serve to reinforce the idea of how this ceremony has a complete grip on the psyche of the people. And they are all afraid of the dead, particularly because most of them have done something against the dead. That is, when they were alive, those people were alive, they were unjust to them. Either they cheated somebody in love, or something else. So the people feel guilty and also afraid when the dead are supposed to come out. A man says, she is right, what is Eurystheus doing? We can't bear the suspense much longer. It ain't fair to keep us waiting like this. Another man, sorry for yourself, are you? But do you think Eurystheus is less afraid than we? Tell me, how would you like to be in his shoes and have Agamemnon gibbering at you for 24 hours? Oh, this horrible, horrible suspense. Do you know, I have a feeling that all of you are drifting miles and miles away, leaving me alone, and so on. So, even Eurystheus, it appears that the people believe that Eurystheus also must be feeling terribly guilty and afraid because the soul of Agamemnon would be there, would come out and will be there for 24 hours. And the tutor sarcastically tells Orestes, this is the people, look at the people of Argos, they are all angry and depressed. Look at their sallow cheeks and sunken eyes. They are perishing of fear. And Zeus says, much good they do you, your pink cheeks. For all your roses, my good man, you are no more than a sack of dung, like all those others in the eyes of Zeus. So this is how sometimes religion teaches man. Now we can see here echoes of Christian religion, of course, that man is a sack of dust or so, heap of earth at the end. And therefore, this view of life totally robs life of all its pleasure or all its beauty. Eurystheus, King Eurystheus, have pity on us, and they want the king to have pity on them, meaning that they want the king to begin the events quickly so that they can get rid of their suffering also quickly. And as an outsider, Orestes feels this is to be very strange, how the people are brainwashed, why should they believe that the dead would come out and so on. But this is madness. Why doesn't someone tell these wretched people? He doesn't finish the sentence. So tell these wretched people what? That all this is false. Because of course the dead do not come out after death. But nobody tells them and they believe in it. Zeus of course supports the whole thing and says, why this ad over a woman who has lost her nerve? Wait and see, there is worse to come. So the self-pity, the feeling of misery, begging for mercy, all these things are highly appreciated by Zeus, and these have been instituted by Eurystheus. Thus, religion is depicted as a way of brainwashing people, where people lose all esteem of themselves. A man falling on his knees, I stink, oh how I stink, I am a mass of rottenness. See how the flies are teeming round me like carrion crows. That's right, my herpes sting and gouge and scavenge me, both through my flesh to my black heart. I have sinned 1,000 times, I am a sink of ordure, and I reek to heaven. And Zeus says, oh worthy man. So Zeus actually praises the man for having this kind of an attitude. When he has the lowest self-esteem and he thinks that he is a sinner and therefore he should be punished. Then Eurystheus comes, followed by Clytemnestra, the high priest and bodyguards, and says, dogs, how dare you bewail your lot? Have you forgotten your disgrace? Then by Zeus I shall refresh your memories. He turns to Clytemnestra. We must start without her, it seems, but let her beware, my punishment will be condign. Condign means appropriate, suitable. So the event was being delayed by the absence of Electra. Electra is also supposed to play an important role in this annual ritual as the daughter of Agamemnon, and Eurystheus is angry that she didn't turn up, and he says that I will give her appropriate punishment. Then the high priest orders to begin the ceremonies without her, and says, roll away the stone. The soldiers roll away the stone. The high priest goes to the entrance of the cavern, and then he makes a speech telling the people about how the ghosts are going to come out of the cavern because of their sins. Eurystheus, they are coming forth. So you can see how this whole illusion works, like mass hypnotism. All the people believe because their high priest and their king, they are affirming that the ghosts are coming out. Eurystheus, they are there, all of them. And then Eurystheus even names particular individuals who died, and how the tortures inflicted on them by the people when these were alive, how that led to a burden of sin and guilt on them. The crowd, have mercy. Mercy, you ask for mercy. Do you not know the dead have no mercy? Their grievances are time-proof, adamant, rancor without end. So in this way, Eurystheus keeps on telling the people how they are guilty of these crimes, and therefore the shadows are coming out to punish them. We see that even the children ask for forgiveness. We didn't want to be born. We are ashamed of growing up. What wrong can we have done you? It is not our fault if we are alive, and only just alive. See how small we are, how pale and puny. We never laugh or sing. We glide about like ghosts, and we are so frightened of you, so terribly afraid. Have mercy on us. So this is the attitude required of the people who do not have any self-confidence. They feel guilty that even they are alive where others are dead. And Eurystheus says, and the greatest of the dead is coming forth, he whom I slew with my own hand, King Agamemnon. And when he names Agamemnon, then Orestes protests, drawing his sword, I forbid you to drag my father's name into this mummery. So this is a mummery, that is a mock theatre or a mock show, and you do not drag my father's name. Now, luckily, because of the noise made by the crowd, Eurystheus could not properly hear what Orestes said, and at that very moment, Electra appears to distract him. So, as she appears, wearing a white dress, she comes onto the temple steps, and then Eurystheus calls her Electra, and the whole crowd calls her name because they were waiting for her. What is the meaning of this? Why are you in white? It is my prettiest dress. The city holds high festival today, and I thought I would look my best. So by wearing a white dress, Electra is not only flouting the order of the king, but she is mocking at the entire idea of mourning, and she looks upon this day as a day of festival. We should be in mourning. Why? I am not afraid of my dead, and yours mean nothing to me. And then she says that, how do you know that my father does not regularly visit me, and that I do not have conversations with him, and that he is not happy that I am wearing this white dress? And when the people hear it, many of them get convinced, and the tide turns against Eurystheus, because they begin to doubt that so long Eurystheus was cheating them. But initially, when she says this, the crowd says, "Sacrilege, sacrilege, away with her." Then Electra says, "How dare you talk of Agamemnon?" So, things that Orestes might have said, Electra takes it upon herself, and therefore the revelation of Orestes' identity is delayed. "How can you be so sure he does not visit me by night and tell me all his secrets? If you knew the love and longing that hoarse dead voice breathes in my ears. Yes, I am laughing for the first time in my life. For the first time I am happy. And can you be so sure of my newborn happiness does not rejoice my father's heart? More likely, if he is here and sees his daughter in her white dress, his daughter of whom you have made a wretched drudge, if he sees her holding her head high, keeping her pride intact, more likely the last thing he dreams of is to blame me. No, his eyes are sparkling in the havoc of his face. He is twisting his blood-stained lips in the shadow of a smile." So, when mourning is desired or dictated, she is laughing, or she speaks of laughing, and this is an assertion of the self against ideology. The ideology or the religion that Eurystheus has imposed upon all citizens of Argos, and including Electra. Now, so long she has been doing it ritually every year, she did not rebel. But we see that for the first time she reacts against Eurystheus' dictates and does the opposite. So it is an act of rebellion, but it is not revolution. So there is a difference between rebellion and revolution. Electra, we will see, would recoil from revolution because revolution would demand the execution of the rulers or their removal. Now, Electra was not ready for that. So that must wait for Orestes. But this, of course, is an act of rebellion. And a young woman is totally convinced by what Electra says. Can it be true what she says? And others say, no, she is talking nonsense. She has gone mad, and so on. And then Electra tells the people about life, that life is not only meant for mourning, but for enjoying. And she tells them about the people of Corinth, as she heard from Orestes. Mothers of Argos, can't you understand? Does it mean nothing to you? The pride of a mother who looks at her son and thinks, it is I who brought him up. So the mothers of Argos, they feel guilty that they bore children and brought them into this sinful world. But Electra tells them that they should in fact be proud for bearing children. So she says that everywhere the sun is shining, the world is very pleasant, and I have my place in the sunlight, my full place and to spare. And does the sky fall on my head? Now I am dancing, see, I am dancing, and all I feel is the wind's breath fanning my cheeks. Where are the dead? Do you think they are dancing with me in step? So she is mocking at the idea that the dead are there. So she says that I am dancing, I am enjoying myself, I do not see any of the dead. So what are you afraid of? Why are you believing in these ideas? The high priest is very angry naturally. People of Argos, I tell you that this woman is a profaner of all we hold most holy. Woe to her and to all of you who listen to her words. So almost like a Marxist, Sartre here portrays religion as an opium for the people. You know the famous saying of Marx, that religion is the opium for the people, because the people are brainwashed. They believe what they are taught in all the false ideology and so on. The young woman is convinced, she represents others who are equally convinced by Electra's speech, and see her look of ecstasy. Oh no, that is not the face of a wicked woman. Oh Aegisthus, what have you to say? Why are you silent? Because Aegisthus has no answer to Electra's words, that all that had been preached so far was false. Aegisthus, I waste no words on her. Does one argue with malignant vermin? No one stands them out. My kindness to her in the past was a mistake, but a mistake that can be remedied. Have no fear. I shall make short work of her and end her accursed days. So Aegisthus is angry, and he threatens her with death. And the young woman says that she is dancing and smiling happily. So whatever we have been told about the dead and their wrath, that is false. And a voice in the crowd says, the dead hold their peace. Aegisthus, you have lied. So the fact that the dead do not react even after what Electra says, that proves that all this was a hoax or a lie. So they begin to disbelieve in what they have been taught for so many years. And now it reaches a moment of crisis for Aegisthus and his ideology. So somebody must do something to save the king's face. And Zeus steps in, and by a magic trick she makes the stone roll again with a hideous sound. And then Aegisthus says, look, you can see that the dead are angry. So wherever this false religion needs support, we see that Zeus provides this support to Aegisthus. Now Aegisthus is the ruler. Zeus and the high priest, they all belong to the domain of religion. So we can see that Sartre represents religion and politics in nexus, or acting together to oppress the people. Then Aegisthus tells the people, silence dogs, back to your places, vengeance is mine, not yours. So if you have any doubt which religion was being indirectly referred to, you can see another quotation from the Bible. In the Bible, God says, vengeance is mine, and Aegisthus also says that. But this vengeance has a pagan sense of revenge. Okay, so we cannot say that it is exactly about Christianity. And after this, Electra is in great danger, and Orestes tries to warn her. You are in danger, Electra, you must not stay a moment longer in this city. Because as Aegisthus leaves, he banishes Electra. He tells her that you leave the city and within 24 hours, and if next morning somebody can see you, then he would be obliged to kill you by my order. Therefore, Orestes tells her that you should leave the place. And why does Orestes say that? So we see that there is a concern in him for Electra. That is, he begins to feel for her, and thus attachment begins to grow. Orestes is gradually getting involved, Electra says that I tried to pull out a revolution or a rebellion, but I failed, but to some extent you are responsible. And Orestes says, why it is my fault? You deceived me. Let me look at your eyes. Yes, it was your eyes that made a fool of me. That is, by looking at your eyes, I thought that it would be possible to pull out a revolution or to bring out a revolution. But I was wrong, because you didn't do anything. And Orestes tells her, you come out with me, you come with me and let us go to Corinth. Electra says that no, I have to be here. Do you know what I used to tell myself before I met you? That a wise person can want nothing better from life than to pay back the wrong that has been done him. So she still has in her mind deeply entrenched the idea of revenge, and therefore she cannot go to Corinth or cannot leave Argos. So she is committed to the cause. And Sartre presents this contrast, that at the outset Electra is committed, Orestes is not, but later when Orestes becomes fully committed, then Electra withdraws and she is not ready to revolt. Electra says, I will not listen to you. It is a lure, it is a temptation to go to a better place, but I do not want that. What I want is something for my city. So I want to take revenge of the murder of my father. Words are no use for such as they. An evil thing is conquered only by another evil thing, and only violence can save them. So goodbye, Philebus, and leave me to my bad dreams. And now we see that Electra is not convinced by Orestes' words, more because she believes him to be Philebus, and she says that somebody else would come and help me in my cause. That is, she means her brother. It is not for you to help me. And someone else will come to set me free, and so on. Orestes says that suppose your brother is not like what you imagine. How can it be otherwise? Don't forget he is the son of Agamemnon and Clytemnestra, but might not he be wary of all that tale of wickedness and bloodshed, if, for instance, he had been brought up in a happy, peaceful city? Then I would spit in his face, and I would say, go away, you coward, go and keep company where you belong, with women, and so on. So she would hate if her brother were not committed to the cause of revenge. Now Orestes does not have any other option but to reveal himself, but we also see that he gradually becomes more and more involved, and a desire to convince his sister that he is there gradually grows in him. Electra, I am Orestes. So this is the moment of recognition. In Greek play there is always recognition. By the shades of my father Agamemnon, I swear I am Orestes. And then he also reveals that he did not live in Corinth, but he was brought up in Athens. So Electra says, I love you more than I would have loved the other Orestes. So from knowing Orestes as Philebus to recognizing him as Orestes is a complicated step, because by the time the moment of recognition comes, by that time she is already kind of enchanted or enamored of Philebus. She likes him in a sisterly way, of course. And then when she comes to know of him as the true Orestes, then this has an effect of quickly recognizing him and loving him, because already she loved this person as Philebus. So the transition is quick and mediated through the identity, through a different identity as Philebus. Orestes says, then if you love me, come away, we will leave this place together. Leave Argos? No, it is here the doom of the Atreides must be played out, and I am of the house of Atreus. I ask nothing of you, I have nothing more to ask of Philebus, but here I stay. So the moment Orestes speaks of leaving Argos, then Electra displays her desire for doing something for Argos. That is her commitment to the city as a member of the house of Atreus. So the successors of Atreus, they were called Atreides. So Electra says that Atreides, or members of the family of Atreus, they must play their role here in this city. Electra, I am Orestes, your brother. I too am of the house of Atreus, and my place is at your side. So when Orestes tells her that they should leave, then Electra begins to address him again as Philebus. That is, she thinks that one who is genuinely Orestes, or one who is genuinely a member of the house of Atreus, cannot think otherwise than of taking revenge. So Orestes is once again to affirm that he is Orestes, a member of the house of Atreus. No, you are not my brother, you are a stranger. Orestes is dead, and so much the better for him. So go away, my noble souled brother. I have no use for noble souls. What I need is an accomplice. So Orestes has been raised in a noble manner, and for a noble person, suddenly without cause to become revengeful is very difficult. But Electra says that I have no use for nobility. All I need is an accomplice in the murder. Orestes is hurt and says, so you are driving me away? No, Philebus, I could never lay such a load upon a heart like yours, a heart that has no hatred in it. You are right, no hatred, but no love either. You, Electra, I might have loved, and yet I wonder, love or hatred calls for self-surrender. He cuts a fine figure, the warm-blooded, prosperous man, solidly entrenched in his well-being, who one fine day surrenders all to love or to hatred. Now, what Orestes means here is that both love and hatred are associated with attachment. So without attachment there is neither love nor hatred. So you do not feel hatred for any person who is absolutely a stranger to you. Similarly, you do not feel deep love for somebody who you do not know. So Orestes was in a situation where he did not know any of these people, and he did not have any attachment for them. I am a mere shadow of a man. Of all the ghosts haunting this town today, none is ghostlier than I, because I am totally detached. The solid passions of the living were never mine. Where shall I go? What city must I haunt? Orestes says, nobody is waiting for me anywhere. I wander from city to city. You told me about happy towns. What do we care for happiness? I want my share of memories, my native soil, my place among the men of Argos. And then he comes to a resolution. Electra, I shall not leave Argos. So it is at this point that Orestes acquires a purpose. Because Orestes realizes that he yearns for attachment. And he yearns for doing something for people he loves. And only Argos can give him what he wants. So he decides not to leave Argos. So this is the moment of transition where engagement becomes possible. And it is also a matter of making a choice or a decision. And it is often difficult to take this decision. That is, if we think rationally, normally we tend to go with our emotions and instincts. So, which people we would love, who we would hate, all these are not decided rationally. We are guided by our emotions and instincts. But if somebody tries to think rationally, is there any real reason why I should love that particular person or hate that particular person? Then it is almost difficult to find any reason. But without making somebody your own, or without loving somebody, one cannot have any true meaning in life. Electra is surprised and says that why are you insisting on this? Nobody wants you here. It is my one chance and you, Electra, surely won't refuse it to me. Try to understand, I want to be a man who belongs to some place, a man among comrades. Only consider, even the slave bent beneath his load, dropping with fatigue and staring dully at the ground of food in front of him. Why, even that poor slave can say he is in town. He is in his town, as a tree is in a forest, or a leaf upon the tree. Argos is all around him, warm, compact and comforting. Yes, Electra, I would gladly be that slave and enjoy that feeling of drawing the city round me like a blanket and curling myself up in it. No, I shall not go. So, what Orestes says metaphorically, giving the example of a worker, laborer and so on, he means to emphasize the importance of attachment and engagement. So engagement, commitment, these terms have political associations, whereas attachment has more of an emotional association. But engagement or commitment is not possible without attachment. So you cannot feel committed to any cause unless you like somebody or you like something about that cause. Even if you stayed 100 years among us, you would still be a stranger here and lonelier than if you were tramping the high roads of Greece. The townspeople would be watching you all the time from the corner of an eye, and they would lower their voices when you came near. So what Electra means is that it is difficult to be close to strangers. So you will always remain a stranger to the people of Argos. Is it really so hard to win a place among you? My sword can serve the city and I have gold to help the needy. So I can be of some use to the city. But Electra says we are not short of captains and so on. So the purpose of this discussion is how can Orestes feel that he is needed by the city and that it is kind of inevitable, or it is incumbent upon him that he would do something for the cause of the city? How can he feel that? That is, how can he develop this engagement with the city? And then Orestes is at a loss. He does not know, because rationally he finds it difficult to take a decision. And then he does what we usually do when we are at a loss: we pray to God. So he prays to Zeus to show him some indication by some miracle, as was believed in the ancient times, that gods used to give some indication by some sign. And then Zeus, of course, wants Orestes to leave. So he lets there be a miracle, and shining light can be seen around a stone. And Electra laughs at it. He says that today it is raining miracles. So you wanted a sign, and immediately God gave you a sign. So now you leave, because the God also wants that you should leave. And then the decision to not leave becomes Orestes' own decision. Because when he is ready to go against even the God's indication, then it becomes his own decision. He becomes truly engaged. So initially Orestes is dazed, staring at this stone. So that is the right thing, to live at peace, always at perfect peace, I see. Always to say excuse me and thank you. That is what is wanted. He stares at the stone in silence for some moments. The right thing, their right thing. So now he says that it is the right thing of those who want this religion, this oppression to be in place. So right and wrong are always relative. What is right for somebody may be wrong for another person. Therefore, Orestes uses his judgment and says, it is their right thing, it is not right for me. That is when he is able to define himself against God, against religion, against institution, against establishment, against tradition, then he can judge on his own. And slowly he says in a tone that he did not use earlier, there is another way. So this means that man should not wait for instructions from gods or from society or from institution and so on. But man must take a decision by himself, which means that he must take agency. If you always follow other people's dictates, then you are not an agent, you are an instrument. You are acting in behalf of others. When soldiers obey their captains, they do not do anything on their own, they are just instruments. But when you do something on your own, only then you are an agent. No, Philebus, don't be stubborn. You ask the gods for orders, now you have them. Orders, what do you mean? Ah, yes, the light round that big stone. But it is not for me, that light. From now on I will take no one's orders, neither man's nor God's. So he asserts his freedom. So man can be free only when he decides that all his decisions should come from himself, not from anybody else. And we see that here Electra is always addressing Orestes as Philebus, because she wants Orestes not to be Orestes, because she knows that Orestes, belonging to the house of Atreus, would be the right person to take revenge. But here we see her weakness. Why doesn't she want Orestes to take revenge or to do what he wants to do? Why does she try to convince him that he should leave? So we saw that earlier she reproached him for not helping her, and she said that she needed an accomplice, and now we see that she tells him to leave and she does not want him to be Orestes. So this can be explained in various ways, but apparently it can be explained as a failure of the will. Electra, at the decisive moment, she fails to have the will to do what she had planned of doing for years. And this is also something which often happens to us, even to those who believe themselves to be revolutionaries. At some point they may realize that it is not for them, it is not their path. So everyone cannot be a revolutionary, everyone cannot be a martyr, everyone cannot be an active agent. So we have all sorts of people. Revolutionaries and martyrs are one sort of people, which is not for everyone. So it is a question of exercising one's will. And whereas Orestes is able to exercise his will, Electra is not. So this suggests that many fail to overcome ideology. Ideology, religion, social dictates. They always stop us from doing anything radical, and not all of us are able to do radical things. But as we can see that Orestes' engagement and commitment and pursuit of the goal of taking revenge, that can be seen or interpreted in two ways. So those who were members of the resistance, they interpreted the character of Orestes as that of a revolutionary who rid the city of Argos of the evil rule of Eurystheus and Zeus, and therefore is similar or a model for those French people who want to fight against the Nazis and remove them from their seat of power. But at the same time, this will, this very powerful will which does not succumb to any authority, is also a dangerous thing. And it can be interpreted as also a fascist will, because fascists do not succumb to any other will, even though fascism is also an ideology. Okay, so those who look at Orestes as a fascist hero or a Übermensch, a Superman, fascist hero, they are taking recourse to one kind of interpretation which, from Sartre's point of view, is a wrong interpretation, because fascism is also an ideology. So by assertion of independence in existentialism, Sartre did not mean that one would side with the oppressors, but actually he meant that by asserting independence one would try to remove oppression and free others, and thereby become a free man. That is, freedom is possible when there is freedom for everybody. So as you can see that there is a thin line here, but Sartre had no alternative but to write in a manner where the play could be interpreted in both ways. But today, of course, we will interpret in the sense that Sartre wanted. That existentialism does not talk about oppression. Existentialism talks about removal of oppression. It talks about acting freely in order to free others. Alright. Okay, so I will stop here. I think we have more or less finished the scene. Orestes says, I say there is another path, my path. Can't you see it? It starts here and leads down to the city. I must go down. Do you understand? I must go down into the depths among you, for you are living, all of you, at the bottom of a pit. So he must rescue or deliver the people of Argos. But the phrase go down also suggests that in order to deliver the people, he must also go down. He must also end up by being in hell, as we see at the end of the play. Electra tries to prevent him, saying, you are too young, too weak. And Orestes says, are you going to draw back now? Hide me somewhere in the palace and lead me tonight to the royal bedchamber, and then you will see if I am too weak. And Electra can't even imagine this idea that Orestes would kill Eurystheus and Clytemnestra. And Electra actually laments that the gentleness that she saw in Philebus, that gentleness is gone, and Orestes is a different person, and she is afraid of him. Orestes, you are my elder brother and head of our house. Hold me in your arms, protect me. Much suffering, many perils lie ahead of both of us. So Orestes takes her in his arms. Zeus leaves his hiding place and creeps out on tiptoe. So very funny. So Zeus is caricatured here. He is always, overhearing. He is always peeping and trying to get the information, what is actually going to happen, what decision Orestes would take. So he is presented as a spy also. Right. So we'll stop here. Do you have any questions?